Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back once again to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Today we're going to be doing some Crosswind landing challenges. We're here at Edwards Air Force Base with, as you can see, a very strong and variable semi-head, but mostly, well, I guess it's mostly a headwind, but it's considerably gusting into the cross here. In fact, I'm willing to bet if I elevator pitch down and add just a little bit of throttle, yeah, so we can get the back right up super easy on this Cub. So we're going to start on the easy stuff. Start with the Cub, something that's really easy to handle. Maybe work our way into 172 and then work our way up there through other aircraft into the airliners and see how the different aircraft compare in the same winds. We are using the Storm Low-Level Gusts preset, so weather will always be the same no matter what aircraft we're flying is a continuation. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. We'll get the landing and taxi lights on. Park brake off. Sit on the brakes. Run it up again. And wait for our VSO to clear. There it is. Pull her into the sky. And with minimal effort, we're airborne. Slide her over to this other runway here. You can see our track versus the aircraft's heading. Obviously, we're tracking pretty heftily towards, guess what would that be? The west? The east. I might get on idle power, get back in our VFE, start dropping flaps. Flaps at full. Now facing into the wind as best as we can. Not really shooting for the touchdown zone or anything. We'll go to full go-arounds and that sort of stuff once we get to the bigger jets. But that is the Cub. Handled easy with no problem. Next up, we'll head into the 172. And see how that performs. Alright, same time, same weather conditions, different aircraft, this time in the Cessna 172. It's the default aircraft with the wheel fairings removed, so we're going to do a normal 172 takeoff. We're going to, excuse me, we're going to do a no flaps takeoff and see if we can do that same maneuver we did in the Cub. Obviously, we need a lot more speed in the 172. 172 is a lot quieter as well. I have to remember to turn on that. Holy smokes. Okay, we're full left rudder right now. Full left rudder. Still full left rudder. Not getting the actuation I want. Let's pull. A little bit earlier than our takeoff speed of 68 knots. That's fine. We go ahead and drop flaps. Flaps 10. Try and start coordinating. Shut up, Taz. Try and start coordinating our aircraft a little bit. Alright, flaps now full. Just a real nice side step. That's part of why I picked Edwards. So there's those two real nice big parallel runways. Get fanned out into the wind here. Please shut up. Oh, I'm sinking. Oh, I'm sinking. A little bit rough of a touchdown, but definitely survivable nonetheless. That is the 172. We'll find a different aircraft type to try out next in our Crosswind Landings Challenge. Alright, with the same weather conditions, we are now in a Cirrus SR22. SR22T GTS, actually. The top trim of the Cirrus SR22 that you can buy. So we're going to give this a shot, see how The whip performs, everything's in the takeoff configuration, so let's go ahead and throttle up here. It's so much quieter inside. There's this option in Flight Sim where you can select, oh my goodness. Full left rudder again, full left rudder, full left rudder. There's our VR, just barely up in the air. Let's not scrape the very expensive wing on the ground. Anyway, what I was saying before is there's an option in Flight Sim to simulate headphones. And that's what we have on today. Alright, let's roll power back. Set flaps to the landing position. Our seat up just a little bit.
Don't sink, 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 don't sink.
Tell you, there's something, I mean, from a pilotage standpoint, there is something fun about the challenge of a crosswind landing, that's for sure. Instead of touchdown zone of those turn-off markers. A little bit of left, or right, rather, aileron. Okay, we're over our touchdown zone. Fully back on the elevator. That's a rough touchdown for sure. Nonetheless, the Series has our 22 GTS. We'll hop into something else and see how that does. Back with that in just a minute. Alright, and what I think is going to be our final reciprocating engine aircraft of the day is the Vans RV7. So just as before, we'll go ahead, hop in the cockpit, slap off our park brakes, stand on the brakes, run up the motor. Be ready on that left rudder, because boy do we know it pulls us. We're airborne, just like that. Holy smokes. Alright, pulling power, pulling power. This thing just wants to climb, man. Holy smokes. You think we can, screw it, let's try it. We're at 100 knots. 2 times aileron roll. In between landing. Alright, powder idle. And our first arc for flaps. Second arc. That's a loud stall horn. But nonetheless, there we are on the ground, sort of. I think the nose wheel's in the air. Yeah, it is. Look at that. Good old Vans RV7. Cakewalk for this airplane. So let's get into something a little bit bigger. A little bit bigger. Alright, and on to aircraft number 3, the Pilatus PC-6 Porter, outfitted in the Red Bull paint scheme. What a fitting paint job for today's steadfast mission. Let's power up here. I'll tell you what, the tail draggers just handle this kind of crap, no problem. Can't see my gauges too well. That's okay. And with the Porter, we add beta power as well. Ready on beta. Piece of cake for the porter. We'll go ahead and move on to the next airplane in our list. Alright, sticking with turboprops for now. We have the Kodiak 100, my favorite high-power STOL aircraft available in the sim to date. Let's give her a run-up and see how she does. My bet is very dang good. Back in the cockpit. There's our VR. And airborne like no one's business. Start crabbing over to our LZ. I'm going to keep power in for the most part, just because as we add flaps, this thing does love to slow down. We're full flaps now.
Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't
Why do
sink.
they all say
Don't
that to me?
Sink. Don't sink.
Why do they all
Don't
say that to
sink.
me?
Don't sink. 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 Don't sink.
I'm
Don't
landing.
sink. Don't sink. Don't sink.
Have a
Don't
very
sink.
respectable
Don't
sink rate. It's
Don't
sub 1,000 feet per minute. Calm down. A little bit more power to get back towards that center line. Oh, mains. Okay, there's the nose. The Kodiak 100 handling these high winds as we would expect. Let's hop into another aircraft and see how it does. Alright, moving on from single engine aircraft into twins now, we have the Diamond DA62. I think the first time this aircraft is featured on the channel. I fly this aircraft pretty much only when I'm over in Europe, because that's largely where they're seen. We do have them here in the States, but primarily a European aircraft, but a nice aircraft nonetheless. Twin diesel motors is an option. Let's see what the old Diamond can do. Gonna have a much higher VR this time. Holy shoot. Okay, almost full left rudder. Keep on, is that our VR already? Yeah, it is. Let's go. So we're darn near dragging a wing. I'm gonna keep the gear down. You're playing dirty.
Don't sink.
And get set up for a landing. Full flaps, please.
Don't sink. 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 Don't sink.
I wish there was a way to turn off the TAWS or GPWS warning.
Don't sink. Don't sink.
Okay, past our anticipated touchdown zone. But a very buttery smooth landing for the Diamond. Forgot my landing lights and strobes that whole time. You know, let's see how this aircraft compares to the Baron, the default Baron in the sim, and then we'll move on to some payword twins. Alright, in the default Asobo Baron, aircraft that, for me, actually doesn't get too much sick time. It's not that it's a bad aircraft, I just, have other payware options to roll with, so we'll, we're all set here. We're set up for takeoff, so we'll throw off the park brake and run them up. Same deal as before. I'm assuming we're going to have a much higher VR than before. Man, this thing is hard to get under control. Try not to drag that wing. Alright, power coming out. Flaps going to landing position.
Don't sink.
There
Don't
is
sink.
our
Don't sink. Don't sink.
taxiway.
Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't
Yeah, the nice thing with twins is we can use a little bit of differential throttle.
Don't sink. Don't sink. Don't sink.
Try and get us in. Come on. Nose gear, still in the air. Come on, Baron. There you go. Not too eventful of a, if there we'll move into some more difficult twins. And we'll see how those perform. Oh. Alright, and I think we've reached the point where things are going to be too difficult to do a single pattern landing. We'll give it a try in the DC-3, but I don't have the highest of hopes. So we will head back into the cockpit here. Landing lights can come on. Landing lights? Landing lights. They're just not showing in the cockpit. That's fine. Alright, park brakes off. Stand on the wheel brakes, though. Run up those nice big radials. All of our temps well below where they should be. We don't care. Tail coming up already. Full left rudder deflection. Let's get in the air before the dirt. Start pulling manifold pressure back. Actually, okay, you know what? The DC-3 is doing better than the Chancellor. We're behind that taxiway. Just got to keep an eye on our speed. And remember that this airplane is going to be slow to respond. And that we can't have quite as much of a roll on our wings when we land, because our wings are much longer. Too bad, single bounce touchdown. So that's the DC-3. Next up, we'll take a look at the old Grumman Goose. See how that does. That big boat airframe should have interesting aerodynamic properties while we're trying to slip it through the air here. So let's go grab the Goose and see how it does. And the long-term flight sim legend, the Grumman Goose. No flaps on this girl. Oh wait, I lied. There's flaps. There's 100% flaps. Well, turns out I don't know anything about this airplane. Let's see if I can slip land it. Oh, she wanted a little bit of right rudder. No, a whole bunch of left. Let's keep that main on the ground, that that right-hand side main. A lot of big control inputs to keep the bird happy. Look at that, I'm almost 90 degrees with my yoke. That's a lot of input to keep her flying straight and level. Alright, we got those big, huge floats on the outboard wings, so again, we're going to need to stay relatively wings level. Settle down, settle down. Oh, there we go. We actually stuck the landing, didn't even bounce. It's pretty impressive. The Groom and Goose. Let's see what other aircraft we can get into here. Okay, and this is where I think things are going to start to get bad for us. We are in the Cessna 414 Chancellor, and this is already a difficult airplane to take off in normal conditions, let alone crosswinds. Not as bad as the 310, which we will be looking at next, but I don't have the highest hopes for this. Also, my frame rate is dog water. Alright, manifold pressure right up to 40. Roll the props back just a little bit. Why am I looking at a slideshow presentation? You guys seeing this? Well, rhetorical question. I know you're seeing this. Alright, there's 80 knots, 80, I believe. Yeah, 80 knots. Leave the aircraft configured as is. Let's get turned out right away. Start powering back. Not making our touchdown zone as wanted, but we should still be able to make the end of the runway and stop, no problem. Let's get some of that differential power in. A lot of red aileron. And now it's just a floater on down game. There's the mains. Oh, there's a bounce. That's a hard touchdown. On the mains. Just inside the bounds of this extremely long extremely wide runway, but there is the Chancellor, the Cessna 414. Next up, we'll look at the Cessna 310 and see how much more difficulty that gives us. Alright, in the 310, the Cessna 310, Milviz, Blackbird Simulations, whatever you want to call it, outfitted in the Jimmy's World livery, the Save the 310, which is now available for viewing down at AMP School by Sun and Fun. It's got a cool new paint scheme on the tail, but we're not here to talk about real-world aircraft lore. We're here to see how this airplane does in flights. Let's dump the park brake stand on the brakes, run up the motors. There's 2,000. Off the brakes and full manifold pressure. Ready on left rudder. Not really snapping nearly as much as some of the other aircraft we've had. Oh, okay. Take back what I said. A little bit of right aileron as we roll down the taxiway here. Quick tap of the brakes. Gonna leave the aircraft as it is. Gear down and all. Add some flaps. And the 310 is interesting. I don't know if the real 310 does this. I've flown a real 310, but I've not landed one. And the one in the sim has next to 0 elevator authority when off power. And we're going to need elevator authority today, so... right on the threshold of stalling. Engine's back to centralized. Yeah, not the smoothest touchdown, but definitely one that the airplane and us can walk away from, so call that a net positive. That is the Cessna 310. We'll check out another twin, maybe 2, and then get into some jets. Alrighty, skipping over the CJ4, we're going to take the Honda jet up, see what it can do. Wanted a slightly more realistic flight model. One thing to note is we are going to get a few enunciations in the aircraft. Excuse me, one is we don't have V-speed set. We should be good for takeoff trim. I think there's one more enunciation that we'll get, but we'll just ignore those for now. Make sure our park brake is off, that's the speed brake. Where's the parking brake? There it is. Release the park brake. And power out. So there's a TAWS warning I was saying. Take off. Temp control manual. I don't care. Alright. There is our full flap speed. 120 off the ground. Just a little bit fast of a departure. I'm going to immediately start pulling power out because this thing is a rocket ship. Don't know if we'll be able to get it back down in time before the runway here, but we'll give it our best shot. We'll be ready on the speed brake as well. Oh, slideshow presentation. Thanks, Flight Sim. Appreciate ya. Look at that. Gentle float in. A little bit rough of a touch. Speed brake out. Still got some aerodynamic authority. Another roughish touch. Oh, and almost a tail strike. We knew the Honda Jet was an F-16. How far can we ride this out? Look at that! It's balancing on the brakes, essentially. There's the nose gear. The Honda Jet. Gotta love it. Next, we'll take a look at the Citation Longitude, a much larger twin-engine private jet. And we'll see how that does. Alright, and here we are in the CJ4. I think this is going to be a full go-around fly the pattern situation, just because this aircraft is so large. But we'll find out here together. Let's go ahead into the cockpit. And,
Takeoff. No takeoff.
why?
No takeoff. No takeoff.
It's the park brake. Now this thing is a proper rocket ship, but we're not going to be able to transition very well back into a landing configuration, so I'm fairly certain we're going to have to do a full pattern here, which is fine. Oh, immediate good. Not doing too bad. Let's see if we can salvage it. Power coming back. Nearly to idle. How are we looking? Let's get the airplane trimmed out a little bit. Is this salvageable? No, it's not. Ah, we're dead. All right, let's try a full pattern. All right, speed brakes in. Full flaps. Kind of try and stay out of that stall envelope if we can. This is not how you would fly longitude onto final, but we're going to make it work, darn it. Visual on the touchdown zone.
200.
Doing it again.
150.
We're dead. That's broken gear. Alright, let's load up something else. Can't do it in the longitude, but there's other aircraft I bet we can. Alright, aboard the CRJ-700 in the United Battleship colors. How many of you guys remember these old dark gray battleship aircraft flying around back in, oh geez, I want to say the late, is it like late 80s through like the mid 2000s? I don't remember when Battleship came and went, but I remember seeing them fly, that's for sure. Speaking of fly, let's do that in the CRJ. Takeoff power set. On the tiller for now. As we start building speed, we're gonna switch to the pedals. And really not that dramatic at all on takeoff. It's a more robust aircraft, I suppose. There it is. Okay, on the pedals. Plenty of speed. Let's rotate. Quick dab of the brakes. Gear coming up. Flaps up one notch. We're going to come out left, and we will do a circle to land on our same departure runway in the CRJ. Alrighty, we are set up on the shorter, narrower runway, because I'm a masochist for pain. And considering how poorly I did on that global, I feel like I need to redeem myself in the CRJ. So that is what we are going to try to do. Keep working that trim for the time being. We'll keep a little bit of a head of speed on us in case we hit low-level wind shear. It's worth noting these aren't the worst crosswind conditions. It's more of a mild crosswind with a gust, but nonetheless, flying challenge for sure. Looks like no PAPI or VASI lights, whatever you want to call them. So we're just going to visually make our approach unaided. Oh, a little bit of a hop up there. Okay, power coming back to idle. Plenty of speed above. Oh, there's the touch. Forgot how high the CRJ sits. But nonetheless, we're on the ground now. Back into reverse thrust. Get back on that center line. That nose gear came down hard. Alright, CRJ complete. We'll take a look at one, maybe two more twin jets, and then we'll check out the 7-4, and I think we'll round out the video after that. Alright, and back with the PMDG 737, still in that wonderful battleship gray. Let's see what the old bird can do in the slippery wind conditions on takeoff and landing. We are going to do a full pattern this time around, so bear with me through that. Let's go landing lights on, taxi lights on, logo and wing set. Alright, that should be everything. Park brake is off. Trim out the elevators as we accelerate down the runway here. There's a CFM56's roaring to life. Airspeed's moving. Cross check at 80 knots. All right, 120, 130 will start pulling back on the yoke here. No real big rudder inputs, which is interesting considering the size of the tail fin on this airplane. But there we go, and just like that, we're airborne. Touch of the brakes, gear coming up, flaps coming up to 2. Shut off the auto throttle. So I want to fly. Alright, I'll be back once we're ready to turn around, or once we have turned around and are set up for landing. Alright, rolling out on our destination runway. Pretty narrow speed envelope to deal with here. We're going for runway 22. You know what, let's sidestep. Let's go 22 left. So that has been the runway we've been landing on. It should be salvageable. I was going to go for 22 right, which is our departure runway. But we should be able to manage this no problem. We're going to get that flight path marker. If I can. Doesn't look like I can, so... Oh, I just saw it in the corner of the HUD down there. There you are. So we're just going to fly that flight path marker right onto the PAPI, which we're currently high on. Just like before, we'll keep a little bit ahead of speed on us. For any last minute inputs we might need to do. Stick shaker. Touchdown. And into reverse, no auto braking, so we'll do that ourselves. Well, that was a cakewalk. Nothing too terrible. Clean up the airplane. And move on to our final aircraft, the 747. I was going to do one more Airbus type, either the A320neo, the Phoenix, or the A310, but I'm willing to bet they're going to handle it all the same as the 737, so that's going to be boring. So we'll round it out here with the 747-8, the default aircraft in the sim. Back with that in just a moment. Alright, and we are on board the 747-8F, 747-8, the last 747, funny enough, to leave the Boeing Everett assembly plant. 863 Golf Tango, and we're going to take it for a flight here and see how it does underneath these tricky wind conditions. Alright, a little shaky of an approach. Add some power here because we're running out of speed and elevator authority. We're low. The bird we can do nothing about. Sorry, little pigeon. Flight sim. Not in the mood. Barely having to crab at all, funny enough.
100.
You can see the windsock down there showing us the airspeed that we do have.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
There's the mains. little bit of a runway excursion. But that is it for the old Crosswind landing challenge bits. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me succeed and fail a couple times at said landings. That'll do it for this video. So thank you guys very much for watching. I have a shit ton of editing to do. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, take it easy.